Get a full screen here so I can see a little better. Make sure I've got the board captured. Looks like I do. So Sarah, we started talking about completing the square when we were working, and let's develop that idea a little bit more. I'll give you a little rundown of what we've already talked about. So quadratics is just a fancy term for, it's not the best in terms of what I had in mind here, but this probably should be a little longer in terms of the amount of length I have there, but well, not necessarily so. So you've been foiling at your level 6x plus 8, and you've been practicing writing it in multiplication format. This is addition, x plus 2 times x plus 4. It gives us that area statement, and if we set that area statement to 0, we've got ourselves a length times a width equaling 0. And I'm sure you've talked a little bit about if length times width equals 0, either the length is 0 or the width is 0. Question is, what happens when we can't put it in such a nice, neat, factored form? Well, there's another way that we could negotiate getting an area of 0. Complete the square. Completing the square is reshaping and shortening the longer side, lengthening the shorter side, and that gives us x squared plus 6x plus 9, which is very similar to x squared plus 6x plus 8, but it's one bigger, and I got a marker in my hand. So if I just take one unit away, I've got a calculation now, x plus 3 squared, that's what that means, minus 1. And that's equivalent to x squared plus 6x plus 8. Now we factored this to set it to 0. So let's set this to 0. We said that's x plus 2 times x plus 4. Our x's are isolated. We can see -2 and -4 as answers. I can also set this to 0 and do the same thing. Well, different technique, but get the same answers. So +1, we've talked about subtraction of 1 becoming addition of 1. We haven't practiced this enough, but that's plus minus the square root of 1 because positives and negative squareds give us positives. So you got to remember the plus minus. That might take you a little while. And then you got addition of 3. So that becomes subtraction of 3. And we get -3 plus and minus 1. -3 minus 1 is -4. -3 plus 1 is -2. And those are the answers that we had over there. So at your level, I don't think you're going to be dealing with a coefficient bigger than 1. So rather than confuse you at this stage, because I know you got a little assessment coming up in the near future, let's just do 5 problems completing the square. You pause the video, I'll just do them quickly, and then you can watch and follow, and hopefully by the 4th or 5th one, you're having some success. All right, so let's do that. Then I'll upload the video and pass it on to you. And we'll get a little practice with completing the square. So let's say you have x squared minus 10x plus 7, and we want to set that to 0, and we want to solve it by completing the square. Well, you have to even off the linear term. So cut it in half. When you square this, you actually get 25. I don't see plus 25 up here, so I have to get rid of that. And if you do this out, you get that. We still have plus 7 equals 0. So what do we have? We have x minus 5 squared minus 25 plus 7 is minus 18 equals 0. So you're going to add 18 on this side. That's gone. You're going to undo squaring plus minus square rooting. That's gone. You're going to add 5. And I don't know whether or not at your level you've simplified the square root of 18. So I'll talk about that right now. So let's look at 2 times 3 equals 6. The square root of 4 times the square root of 9 equals the square root of 36. There's an important rule there. Okay, a square root times a square root is still a square root problem, and you just multiply by what's inside. So if I looked at the square root of 18, I could rewrite it as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. I know a decimal approximation for root 2. I doubt you do at this stage, and you don't need to, but I hope you do know what the square root of 9 is. So 3 root 2. Okay, so final answer from completing the square is 3 root 2. And I don't know if you can leave it there or have to take it here. Not sure what's expected because I haven't taught Algebra 1 in quite some time. All right. You also could have done the quadratic formula for this, which I think you're practicing. It's very straightforward. You can get all the practice in the world you want with probably both of these topics by going to other YouTube videos. But let's just go 4 more. Let's do x squared minus 8x. Did I do minus last time? Let's do plus 8x plus 50 equals 0. Can't show that as a product. Well, you can, but you're not going to need to. So got to cut it in half. X plus 4 squared. Notice whatever the sign is, it maintains that. And 4 squared is 16, so I got to get rid of 16. And I'm going to add 50, that equals 0. So I've got x plus 4 squared plus 36, I believe, 34, sorry, plus 34 equals 0. So, and I forgot to put the square there. Here's another issue that I don't know if you've had or not, but when we do the plus minus the square root of negative 34, I think imaginaries are generally introduced to Algebra 2. I don't remember if I introduced them at Algebra 1 years ago, but you just take the minus out, call it I, and I can talk to you about where that comes from another time. If you can just remember that, that's great. I'm guessing that you won't be dealing with that, I don't think. And so that took care of that, that took care of that. Addition of 4 becomes subtraction of 4 plus minus the square root of 34i. Okay, no perfect squares in 34, so you leave it like that. Again, probably you won't see an imaginary root, so I'll try to make sure you don't see any in the next 3. So let's do x squared plus 12x minus 50. We'll do that one this time. X plus 6 squared minus 36 minus 50 equals 0. So minus 86 becomes positive 86. Squaring becomes plus minus square rooting. And positive 6 becomes negative 6 plus minus square root of 86. 86 is 2 times 43. 43 is prime, so you couldn't simplify this at all. All right. Let's see what else we got. Let's do x squared minus 4x. Let's do minus 10 equals 0. Can't factor it, so x minus 2 squared minus 4 minus 10 equals 0. Minus 14 is going to go to the other side as positive 14. I'm going to do it in one line of work now. Squaring becomes plus minus square rooting. Subtraction of 2 becomes addition of 2. Okay, a little shortcut. Some nice thinking about inverse operations when you do it that way, which I think is actually a healthy thing for you. So let's do x squared minus 20x minus 47 equals 0. You pause the video. X minus 10 squared minus 100 and minus 47 equals 0. So what do we have? Positive 147 on this side plus minus square root, bring over the 10. All right. So I hope that's a little practice, and we'll maybe get to see where you're at on Saturday. I'll bring that notebook. We'll see what other things you've got in there that might come your way, and hopefully you got a little better at that. All right. All right. So I'm going to pause the video, stop it now, send it off to you.